Hey guys, this is Luke here on Sean's channel. Today I'll be going over my competitive Sky Striker deck. This is a deck I take to locals. This is a deck I play on Nexus quite a lot. It's really good. This is post the December ban list. This is also coming after the new Magnificent Maven support. This deck is still strong after all these years. I'll be going over the main deck, the extra deck, and also the side deck as well for today's format. Let's start off with the monsters, of course. Raye is bae, so we have to run 3 copies of her. She is just very good. If you don't know what Raye does, basically she is the main Sky Striker monster used for your links. She's just a better one because she has 2 effects. First one being a quick effect is that you can tribute this card, special summon Sky Striker Ace monster from your extra deck into the extra monster zone. And also, if a Sky Striker Link monster leaves the field by an opponent's card effect while raising the graveyard, you can special summon Raye out. So it's very good for consistency. Now I used to run this card at only 2, but because Linkage is a very good card, I see no problem boosting Roze up to 3 copies of the deck. To get Linkage's full effect, we want to have both Raye and Roze in the graveyard. Roze is good, but she's not as good as Raye. That's why I used to run her at 2, but Roze effect is still pretty good that if a Sky Striker Ace monster is nowhere special summoned while Roze in your hand, you can actually special summon her out. She also has a graveyard effect like Raye, that if your opponent's monster in the extra monster zone leaves the field because of a card effect, you can also special summon Roze out from the graveyard. Introducing a little bit of that support from Magnificent Mavens, we have Surgical Striker H.A.M.P. This is the searchable Sky Striker Kaiju. It's just very good because you can actually search a kaiju off of Engage. Not that hard to beat over, so it's definitely worth the run. Just because I'm trying to make this deck as competitive as possible, we run 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Just a very good hand trap. Also run 2 copies of Effect Failure, which goes very well with our Selene combo when we want to go into access code. We also run DD Crow just based on today's meta. It's actually a very good hand trap. I'm glad it was reprinted recently. Underrated hand trap is still worth the run at 2. We have Ghost Ogre. Then rounding off all of the monsters, we have Nibiru the Primal Being. Now this may seem like quite a lot, but Sky Strikers are very consistent with themselves, with their spells and everything like that. So although we run a shitload of hand traps, don't be discouraged. We're trying to make this deck as competitive as possible. These are just the best hand traps that are running in the main deck when you're facing off your opponent going game 1. These can be switched out depending on what you're playing against. When you're going into game 2, we'll go into the side deck stuff later, but this is definitely all the things you want to have in your main deck. Let's go over the spells because there's a fucking load of them. We'll start off with Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Engage is the searcher for any Sky Striker card. Also has a graveyard effect that if you have 3 spells in the graveyard while you activate this, you can draw an additional card. You'll come to find out a lot of the Sky Striker spells have 2 effects. They have their first effect being the main effect, and then also if you have 3 spells in the graveyard, you can activate the secondary effect. It can also be seen on Sky Striker Mecha Hornet drones. Hornet drones brings out our little Sky Striker Ace token. So if we don't see you Roze or Raye in that hand, it's good just to get out a token. Very important to have a token when you're playing this deck, just so when you're going competitively it doesn't get too confusing trying to look for something, and it's good to have just this token. It's worth like 5 cents, so you can pick it up easily. Rounding off the holy trinity of limited Sky Strikers cards, we run 1 copy of Multirole. Multirole has the first effect that you can target 1 other card on your side of the field, you can destroy it, and then for the rest of the turn, your opponent can't activate effects in response to your Sky Striker spell cards. Also, Multirole has a secondary effect, the one that really pushes it over the edge, is that depending on the amount of Sky Striker spells you activate this turn, you can actually bring out and set them onto the field during the end phase of that turn, which is great for a quick play Sky Striker spells such as Widow, Anchor, and Linkage, because it's not necessarily them that you can bring back out to set. You can also just set Engage again, which is no problem at all. Only downside is that after they are set to the field and activated, then they are banished instead of going to the graveyard, but still a good bit of recycling. 3 copies of Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor is the bane of Sean's existence. This card is very fucking good. It's basically a negate of a monster effect. And also if you control 3 spells in the graveyard while you activate this, you can take control of that monster for the turn. Rounding off the new support that we actually use, we run 3 copies of Mobilize Linkage. Linkage is fucking amazing. The fact that it's not once per turn makes me really worried that this is going to get limited very fucking soon. But Linkage has the effect that if you control no monster in main monster zone, You can send one other card you control to the graveyard and special summon one Sky Striker ace monster from the extra deck to the extra monster zone. And also the secondary effect comes in. Unlike where you need 3 spells in the graveyard, Linkage needs to have a light and dark Sky Striker monster on the field and in the graveyard that when you bring out that monster it gains 1000 attack. So very good to run at 3 in this deck. I'll kind of fly through the rest of the Sky Striker specific spells in this deck because they pretty much don't have much explained to do. Afterburners is good to pop a monster, and if you have 3 spells in the graveyard you can pop a spell trap on the field. Jamming Waves I was kind of back and forth on, but after going against Labyrinth more times than I'd like to explain, I think Jamming Waves is good just to get that searchable bit of back row removal. It only destroys a set spell or trap on the field, but also has a secondary effect. If you have 3 spells in the graveyard you can pop a monster. Shark Cannon is very good just for banishing some of your opponent's monsters in the graveyard. Also has a secondary effect. You can special summon it to the field if you have 3 spells in your graveyard but it cannot attack, which can be good if we're going into our bigger links, but most of the time you're just using it for its first effect just to banish your opponent's problematic graveyard monsters. You run 1 copy of Eagle Booster for protection. When this is activated, target 1 monster on the field is unaffected by card effects, and then if you have 3 spells in the graveyard it cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. And then 1 copy of Area Zero. Area Zero is okay, but it's mostly just for if we're in a pinch and kind of want some draw power. What it does is it can target 1 other card in the field. You can then excavate the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Sky Striker card from those 3 excavated cards to your hand, and if you do send that card you target it to the graveyard. Area Zero is very good. I don't think it's worth running any more than 1 copy. It's very good because it can do some sort of combo with Raye where you can still like get an extra card while still not wasting your Raye because you can chain her quick effect. Also, Area Zero has a very good effect that if your opponent isn't really reading cards or paying attention, that Area Zero, if it's destroyed, you can special summon a Sky Striker monster for your main deck, which is very good when we're going for Raye. That does it for the Sky Striker spells. Let's just go on to the last few spells we have in the deck here. 3 copies of Raigeki. I don't know why this became unlimited, but I'm really fucking happy it is. This is just a really good card overall. Even if destroying all monsters isn't the main thing you want to do, it's still good for baiting out those spell negates your opponent might have set up. 1 copy of Harpie's Feather Duster just for the back row. This can be sided out depending on what you're playing against, but I still think it's worth destroying the 1 in the main deck. 1 copy of Call by the Grave. This is just to stop your opponent's hand traps. 1 copy of Change of Heart. Change of Heart's good for just taking control of monsters if we want just a big beat stick to either destroy your opponent or just use as a little link fodder for bigger links, or just to get it off the field. And 1 copy of Reinforcing the Army just to search or Raye or Roze, but most of the time we're looking for Raye. That rounds off all the spells. We just have 3 traps in this deck. It is 1, 2, 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This card needs no introduction, it's a good negate, and if you control no cards in the field you can activate it straight from your hand. Also, if it's set to a column when you activate it, all the spell and traps in this column are negated, so it's a good way to actually kind of like try to negate your opponent's set spell or traps. So Imperm is definitely very good to run at 3. Imperm's a good all-rounder. When I'm going into side deck stuff, I wouldn't even consider taking Imperm out. It's just that good of a hand trap. Going into the extra deck now, we run 3 copies of Shizuku. Shizuku is sort of our end board sort of monster, because during the end phase, if this card was special summoned, you can add 1 Sky Striker spell from your deck to your hand. Also, Shizuku lowers your opponent's monster's attack by 100 for each spell in your graveyard. Kagari is very good because Kagari actually kind of is, well, it's literally the fire to Shizuku's water. Kagari boosts her own attack up by 100 for each spell in the graveyard, and also when Kagari is summoned, you can target 1 Sky Striker spell in the graveyard and add it to your hand, so it's very good for recycling Engage. 2 copies of Hayate. Hayate can attack directly. She also has the effect that if she battles more so, after damage calculation, you can send 1 Sky Striker spell from your deck straight to the graveyard. So it's good to go into battle phase with Hayate, attack, send a spell to the graveyard, main phase 2 bring out Kagari, then Kagari can get that spell you sent back to your hand. Kena is good to run the 1 of. If you're going against big beatstick sort of decks like I do with Sean a lot, Kena is very good to bring out, because when she's brought out you can target 1 monster your opponent controls. It cannot attack until your opponent's next end phase. Also, Kane has the effect that every time you activate a Sky Striker spell while she's up on the field, you gain 100 life points. Zeke is the Link 2 Sky Striker monster. Material needed is 2 monsters including a Sky Striker Ace monster. When it's link summoned, you can target 1 monster on the field and banish into your opponent's next end phase. And also once per turn you can target 1 other card you control and this card gains 1000 attack, then send that card to the graveyard. Zeke is good because you have a problematic, if your opponent has a problematic monster, what you can do is either change of heart or Widow Anchor it, take control of that monster, then link it away with your Sky Striker monster to Zeke, and then that'll take care of that problem. 1 copy of Dark, the Dark Charmer Gloomy. This is a very, very good card. It's good because when it's brought out, you can target 1 Dark monster in your opponent's graveyard and you can special summon it to the field, but only to a zone that this card points to. Also, if Dark is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can target 1 Dark monster in your deck with 1500 or less attack and add it to your hand. So it's good that if it's destroyed, you can actually get Raye to your hand. Pretty much the same can be said for Lina, the Light Charmer Lustrous. She pretty much does the exact same thing, except it's more for lights. So if there's a light in your opponent's graveyard, when you bring out Lina, you can target that light monster and bring it out to a zone she points to, and also when she's destroyed by her battle or her opponent's card effect, you can search Roze and add to your hand. Also, Lina is great because she's kind of like the replacement for Halki Fibrax, because Lina can actually straight up just steal an effect that your opponent has in the graveyard to go into that combo that brings out your Access Code Talker. Speaking of which, that combo, we'd run 1 copy of Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians. This is the link tree that gains spell counters for the amount of spells in the graveyards. Also, you can get rid of that. You can get rid of an amount of spell counters on this card to special summon a spellcaster monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, which is good fodder when we're going straight into our access code. Speaking of the boy, this is Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is fucking broken. He's a link 4 boss monster. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's effect activation. When this card's link summoned, you can target 1 link monster in the graveyard, which most likely would be Selene, and the Access Code Talker gains 1000 attack for its link rating. Access Code Talker can also banish link monsters in the graveyard to destroy cards in the field your opponent controls. That's only 14 monsters in the extra deck. You can pretty much fill up with the last one whatever you want. Maybe if you want to boost up, add another Hayate, maybe because Tier Elements are so prominent now, maybe getting the Water Charmer in there might be good, but I run just the 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. Nightmare Unicorn is a good link tree because although it targets, it actually shuffles the monster your opponent controls back into the deck just for the sake of a discard, which can be used extremely effective considering that a lot of monsters cannot be destroyed by battle or cannot be destroyed by card effects, whereas Nightmare Unicorn doesn't destroy, it just shuffles back into the deck, so it's a good little loophole around that. That does it for the extra deck and main deck. Now let's go talk about the side deck. 3 copies of Ghost Bell. I think Ghost Bell is actually very, very good because it's actually crippling to a lot of decks in the meta right now, and not even necessarily in the meta, in Rogue as well. It can really fuck up Shadal and Vote. It can also kind of step to branded Despia, and even some of the Tier Elements combos Ghost Bell can handle, or interrupt I mean. Granted, Tier Elements are Tier Elements, so it won't exactly fuck them up completely, but Ghost Bell is still a good interruption. Draw and Lockbird, just because every card now searches a card, that searches a card, that searches a card. So Draw and Lockbird is very good to adding some restraint from your opponent, just adding however amount of cards they have to their hand. On resolution of your opponent adding a card from their deck to their hand, you can just completely lock it down. Your opponent cannot add any more cards from their deck to their hand. I run 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. Since Mystic Mine was banned, this is just went straight into the side deck. We no longer have to worry about Mystic Mine anymore. Cosmic Cyclone is still a very good contender if you're going against a heavy sort of back row deck. Just definitely have 3 of these in the side. Now it's kind of back and forth between Dark Ruler No More and Dimensional Barrier, but overall I think just depending on the day's meta, I think Dark Ruler No More is very good just because although Sky Strikers can do both, this deck primarily sort of kind of wants to go seconds based on the amount of Raigekis you run. So if your opponent sets up a really good board first turn, it's no harm to have Dark Ruler No More just to negate all your opponent's monster effects. Also, Dark Ruler No More is a spell speed 4 card, so it can very rarely get interrupted. Now the thing people laugh at when I show them, but Dimensional Fissure. This is to go against Tier Elements, let's face it, we're in a Tier 0 format, so any fucking card that we can use to fuck up the best we're going to take. Definitely run this in the side, only put it in the main deck if you're going against Tier Elements. Dimensional Fissure, for those of you who don't know, any monster sent to the graveyard is removed from play instead. I actually had to read removed from play because these are old fucking cards. Dimensional Fissure works very well with Sky Strikers. The reason for that being is that only the monsters are banished, so our spells that are sent to the graveyard, they actually go to the graveyard. So I won't be losing out on the secondary effects of most of our Sky Striker spells. Also, a lot of our spells ourselves actually pop cards such as our own cards, so even if you wanted to use Area 0 targeting Dimensional Fissure on your turn, activate the secondary effect of Afterburners to get rid of the Dimensional Fissure, or even the likes of having no monster on the field, you can use Linkage to get rid of the Dimensional Fissure and then bring out a Sky Striker monster. There's just so many there's so much potential with Dimensional Fissure and Sky Strikers that when they're going up against tier elements, we'll definitely be ready for them. For those of you who are kind of new to Sky Strikers and just want to know like a few things you can do with the deck, I might just show you just a few things what this deck is capable of. These combos are very, very simple. Sky Strikers are very much a simplistic sort of deck. Although I still believe that they are very have a lot of meta contention. I don't think that the deck is overly complicated. It's pretty much sort of a 1-for-1 for whatever you're going for. For example, you use Afterburners to destroy one monster, you use Jamming Waves to destroy one spell trap. So this deck is very simple, but for those of you who just want like a little bit of help with the deck, I'll just show you what basically this deck can do. Say all we have is Raye, that's no problem. Say we're in an open sort of game state, your opponent has nothing on the field, get a battle phase, and you have Raye. So you just you top deck Raye. You can normal summon Raye, and what Raye can do is say she can get in for 15. Then after that attack, she actually has a quick effect. So you can use her quick effect to link her off to go into Hayate. Now Hayate, since we're still in battle, Hayate gets to attack. Now Hayate can go in, she can attack directly if there's a monster on the field that she can't get over, but either that or she can hit over a monster. What matters is that she battle. Then after damage calculation of that battle, you can send one Sky Striker spell from your deck to the graveyard. So the one that I go for always is always going to be Engage, but if Engage is in the graveyard, go whatever you want. So you can send Engage after that. Then say when that's done, you go into your main phase 2. What's a good thing to do is you link off Hayate to go into your Kagari. And then when Kagari is brought out, you can target that spell you sent off of Hayate and add it to your hand. So you get your Engage back to your hand. Then from there you can just activate Engage, search the deck for whatever you want. A good suggestion is always Widow Anchor, so then you can sort of set that to your back row. Then when you want to go keep going, you can just link off Kagari into Shizuku. This is still in main phase 2, and then when you go into end phase, Shizuku's effect and trigger, you can add a Sky Striker spell from your deck to your hand. So setting up for later, Linkage is definitely a good call to add that to your hand. Now for those of you confused about Linkage and not really sure why it's a really good card, I'll just explain why. Say again we're in sort of like an open game state. This is just the simplest form just so I can explain what exactly is going on. Say you have Raye on the field, you have Linkage in your hand. We'll do pretty much the exact same thing we did. Have Raye go in for 15. Then we can use Raye's quick effect because we're still in the battle phase. We can link her off and go into Hayate. Now, good thing about Hayate is, since it's still in the battle phase, Hayate can actually go in for damage again attacking directly, which is no problem. Then after damage calculation, I know we have one Linkage in our hand, but it's still no harm to actually send another copy of Linkage. Or really whatever you want depending on the game state. If you want to send Engage or Widow Anchor, that's still no problem at all. But then after Hayate goes in for damage, what we can do is activate Linkage from our hand. Because it's a quick play spell, we can still activate it in battle phase. What we can do from that is then we can actually destroy Hayate, send it to the graveyard, and then bring out Kagari. And then when Kagari is actually brought out, that Linkage we sent to the graveyard, we can target that and add it back to our hand from Kagari's effect. So we still have Linkage in our hand, we're kind of looping it here, and Kagari, say we're still in the open game state, Kagari can go in for some more damage. Then what you can do is just activate Linkage again, you're still in battle phase. Target Kagari, destroy Kagari, we can go into Shizuku, and then Shizuku can go in for some more damage as well. So it's a good way. Linkage is very, very good at sort of looping and getting in for a shitload of damage if you're in an open game state. Or even if you have both Raye and Roze in the graveyard, because they are light and dark, they get the secondary effect of Linkage that the monster you bring out gains 1000 attack. So it's good, it's fucking amazing sort of board wiper all around. Also sort of tips and tricks that we can kind of like bring into it as well. what I keep forgetting about Hayate, or at least I didn't really take in consideration until Linkage came out, was Hayate doesn't necessarily have to send a spell card after damage calculation. She can send a Sky Striker card. So say you have Raye in the graveyard off of just linking away for Hayate, and Hayate is on the field. If you go in for Hayate, you can actually send Roze to the graveyard, which is great setup if you have Linkage in your hand. Because then we have both our light and dark Sky Striker monsters in the grave to get the full effect of Linkage when we activate it. So if Linkage is in your hand, Raye's in the graveyard, and you go in with Hayate, Hayate can send Roze to the graveyard. You can activate Linkage because it's still in battle phase, get rid of Hayate for Kagari, and then since there is a light in the dark in the graveyard, Kagari gains 1000 attack. That's because Hayate was able to send either Roze or Raye directly to the graveyard from her after damage calculation effect. So that about does it for the deck. I'm really happy with this deck. I'm so happy the way it turned out. I think it's really good meta contention, and considering the side deck, we're really prepared for our tier 0 contenders and tier elements. This deck is definitely worth trying out and bringing to locals. It's not overly expensive. Linkage can be a hefty price right now, but because Magnificent Mavens give us a lot of reprints of the Sky Striker cards, you can play this in a budget sort of style. But if you want to play it very, very well with the side deck and all, I definitely recommend this build. Please try